Hello and welcome to our episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby, and I am absolutely delighted to welcome into the studio today Shri Krishnansen from WealthOS. Shri, how are you?
I'm good, Toby. Thank you for having us.
Listen, absolute pleasure, and got to know a little bit about the story. We had a chat last week, and there's a really interesting area that you guys are in and focusing in on. There's a problem which is being solved, and all the things we love talking about on this show. The wealth management space is definitely an area there which is ripe for innovation, and you guys are right at the very heart of that right now. So we can talk a little bit about what that looks like and what's happening in the world there as well as the sort of story of the business and how I guess this whole sector has an opportunity for everyone inside it, both you guys in terms of what you're doing and where the excitement comes into, but more importantly, just as importantly, the whole sector and what it can do and where it's going. So lots to get under the skin of. Before we do all of that, Shri, tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and the business.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Shri Krishnansen. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer here at WealthOS. My background actually isn't from technology and isn't actually from sales either. So I actually started out in the industry more time than I care to admit ago as a qualified actuary. So I used to be responsible for managing assets for people in retirement plans. So DB, DC pension schemes for any of the audience who knows that. And I did that for around about a decade before realizing that some of the systemic problems wasn't in how the assets were being managed, but actually getting access to retirement plans and the actual products that were out in the market just weren't quite meeting the needs of the people who needed them. So then I tried to trace back where the problem was, and it seemed to be from the technology limitations. So I thought I really would like to move away and look at the fintech side of things and see if we can solve some of these systemic issues using technology. So then I left the consulting world and the actuarial world to join a fintech that was specializing in providing retirement plan technology. And I was there for about 2.5 years and helped them launch their technology globally. It was really quite an exciting time, a startup environment, and
a great lesson for you as well.
Yeah,
from a non-technical background.
Hugely so, like a huge pivot from going. I guess I brought the fin, and they were the tech.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an opportunity.
As all good marriages work like that, isn't it?
Exactly. It was an opportunity for me to learn from them and from them to benefit from my retirement knowledge. And it was at that company that I met Anton Padmassery, the founder of WealthOS. He was there as a product owner, and we just got along really well, like a house on fire. And he left to start WealthOS. I was an initial friends and family investor, and I just kept tabs on the company and how he was doing. And once I saw just how great it was, I was like, oh, I think I'm going to have to go. Part of this. Yeah, exactly. So I left the retirement fintech I was with, and then I joined Anton at WealthOS. So that's how I came to be here, from a qualified actuary working in retirement all the way through to working in tech, and then now leading commercial efforts for WealthOS.
And talk to me a little bit about that sort of journey, because as you say, look, I'm fascinated with sort of the journey of people into this sort of space. As you say, look, when you look at fintech, you generally, I think traditionally we've seen technology people starting up businesses, and some of those go fantastically well. Others struggle with the fact that people are very good technologists but not necessarily solving problems that need to be solved with technology, or are so busy in awe of the technology itself that they forget the commercial aspect and the sell and how to pitch and deliver that sort of thing. So your background's a really interesting one to come into that, missing that maybe that sort of technology piece, but being able to translate that. Have you found that sort of blend?
It's definitely been a steep learning curve on the tech side, right? Because you're selling technology, you have to understand how that works. But what I find really has helped me is I'm anchored in the voice of the end user and also the client who's buying the technology to create the products for the end user. And that's really helped from, I was a strategy director in that previous fintech, so helping to understand the landscape in which we were operating and the opportunities. I knew exactly what that was, because as a practitioner in the industry before, I was working with retirement products and I was managing assets, and I realized there were so many systemic problems that we could solve. And then moving forward to then actually working with WealthOS, it's a similar conversation. Like speaking to clients, I understand the pain points that they're having. Like, why is it that they can't create the products that they want? Why is it that they can't serve the clients in the way that they want to? What are the problems from their perspective. So it's not just me coming, oh, hey, we've got some shiny tech, plug it in here, we've got APIs, cloud native, just throw all the buzzwords. I'm not selling the tech. I'm actually just trying to help them solve the problems that they have with their underlying products that they're trying to offer to their clients.
Let's focus in on that problem. So wealth management today has struggled to serve the needs of the users that it creates. We know there's an issue around that sort of space. And as you say, look, tech can come in there and solve the problem. I'm interested actually when you said, I saw it and I saw tech as potentially the answer. So often in every sort of industry, we're seeing tech as the answer to the issues that people are seeing from a user basis. And I think as we've evolved over the last digitally over the last 20, 30 years or so, we've recognised just the speed and need of removing friction in the process. Usually comes back down to the use of digital technology and everything else in between it. So in a world where you probably, when you think of pensions, or there's a couple of industries which don't scream innovation, do they?
Yes,
and I think pensions, insurance, all of these sort of areas, and wealth management probably falls into that sort of, very much falls into that sort of category. So when an industry there that's sort of been a laggard, arguably, in the space. Tell us about how you guys step in.
Yeah, sure. So wealth management, I've got a love-hate relationship with that term because it feels very exclusive. It's only for the high net worth individual,
Yeah,
and
you said this,
you basically have this idea that it's leather-bound portfolios and millions of pounds before you can do anything. But really, what it comes down to is, if you have anything to set aside, whether it's £50 all the way to 100 to a million. That is wealth to be managed. And if you think about it in that lens, it's a huge opportunity. It's like everyone has a little bit of wealth, or most people do, that need help managing it. And that's why
and education at the same sort of stage.
Exactly,
Right?
education and help managing it. And the problem with wealth management today is it's too catered for that leather-bound portfolio, white glove experience for the uber rich. That is still mostly not digital. And then it's not serving the needs of the mass market and the wider market who really do need it. Like people who are now cottoning on to the idea of, oh yes, this is what investing is, maybe I should dabble in it, but they have no way of getting in easily. The barriers of entry is huge. People don't have products that cater for their account balances. They're too small, or the fees are too high. So there's a lot of systemic problems.
Or they don't even know about the opportunities to help with that, right?
Exactly, yeah. So people don't even know where to, as a customer, they don't know where to go. As an industry, we aren't offering the right products for them. And even for the white glove service, there are increasingly more digital enabled with individuals who say, actually, I don't want that. I want digital channels, but the industry hasn't yet evolved to do that. You still have to sign things physically. They haven't heard of electronic signatures and the like. So the industry is quite fragmented in that it's not catering for everyone's needs. It's trying to push the same level of service for a range of different users, and that's just what's not working. Why I think digital enablement is what's needed to unlock the potential of wealth management is it allows you to reduce the cost of serving customers. It allows you to tailor things in a scalable way for the different users. Like the needs of someone who wants to put aside £5 every month still is wealth to be managed is very different to that of a high net worth individual. Both want digital channels, and you need technology that is composable and can be used to cater for both of those demands. So that's where I think technology can really come in to extend wealth management out to a wider audience, and also to fully digitalize the experience. People now can do all sorts of things digitally. If you think about it, like everything from streaming your music to making your payments to friends and family, and yet they can't put money aside away easily. They can't manage their wealth. There's nothing really meeting that need for the wide market.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And as you said with that sort of need for the wider marketplace, and as we see, I love the idea of tailored, bespoke solutions to it. And when you think of technology, and I always go, I use this example a lot, but I'm fascinated by Clubcard, Tesco, and what dunnhumby allowed to do through data to Tesco's fortunes was incredible by tailoring the right thing to the right shopper with the right needs. And I actually think that's at the foreground of everything digitally about making sure that this sort of thing's there, because you're right. In terms of wealth management, there is a enormous different set of demands and needs at various different levels for what people want and where they want to go through things. And I think I always hark back to the great Henry Ford quote where he talks about, if I'd asked the people what they wanted, they'd have said faster horses. But again, it's different needs for different people at what sort of stage that they're looking at. So if we think here and we think about what people actually want when it comes to wealth management, I'm imagining what you're going to say there is it's diverse. There isn't a direct answer to that.
Exactly. Everyone has a different range of needs. Wealth management includes everything from putting aside savings to accumulating it all the way to meet your needs when you can't work anymore, retirement. So there's a range of different needs that you've got people there trying to convert however much they've saved into an income for the rest of their life when they stop working. You've got people on the other end trying to put aside money away to buy a house. It's such disparate needs. And you've got the uber wealthy who also have wealth management needs of succession planning, inheritance, and all of that sort of thing. So very diverse range of needs. And so how is technology going to help? Well, that's exactly what technology does. It does the heavy lifting of being able to cater to a lot of needs from a very singular place.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of where it comes into. And as we said before, I think when you have you close your eyes and you picture wealth management and you think of a wealth management business.
Yeah.
There, you can. I think we're probably all doing that straight away now, and it's. As you said, it's leather bound, etc., etc. It's a white glove service, and you're thinking of probably an oak desk somewhere in the middle of Mayfair or something like that. Yeah, but we're also seeing these sort of unconventional outsiders, and a lot of outsiders that are based, probably around technology, etc. So when we think about that and coming into the industry and gaining traction, what does that look like, and what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's really rife for disruption right now. If you think about it, Nutmeg, love what they do. They came into the industry, must be about a decade ago or so, and they were the first ones to really allow that sort of tailored portfolio management based on your needs to the mass market on your mobile. They came in there and they have gathered assets and users so easily. That's an example of just taking something that's already there, the ability to help people invest by taking away the pain and the decision making around it. That's what wealth management is, and they've brought that to the mass market. That's almost now like low-hanging fruit. And then Nutmeg paved the way, but after them came so many. I mean, if you were to look for investing apps now, there are loads. I can't even count all the names.
People love it, don't they?
Yeah, people love it, and like new ones pop up, and I like that actually, because some of the new ones that pop up are creating to niches, like they specialize in helping women feel more enabled to invest, or minority groups, or they specialize in certain investing areas or styles that people who want to make a difference in the world with their money. So yeah, I love that Nutmeg paved the way and loads of investing apps came in. But what's interesting is that's all wealth management, and so wealth managers, by not adapting and not trying to extend their services out to the mass market, have lost all those assets. Like that's now gone into challenger players. What's interesting is there are whole new outsiders coming in other parts of the world. So my favorite example is in Singapore. There's a rideshare company like an Uber. It's called Grab, and they launched Grab Invest. So that's actually allowing rideshare users to start making savings through their rideshare app.
Okay.
Like, who would have thought that link up? I mean, like, there's a couple of steps I probably skipped, but like,
but this is the natural sort of play from big tech into all of these sort of areas as well, right?
Exactly.
And where I guess X and Elon Musk's idea of the everything app comes into.
That's it. Yeah. Asia kind of led the way with the super apps. Yeah. It mostly happened in China, where you have a single app for like your chat, your banking, your food ordering, and the like. And that's exactly kind of what happened in Singapore with Grab, where it started off as a rideshare app, then it had a digital wallet so you can pay for your rideshare, and then once it realized it had balances in there, it was like, well, people want to invest. Let's just help them invest using their digital wallet.
I love the progress of it.
Exactly. And so now that's like catering to wealth management needs of the mass market, and nobody would have thought a rideshare provider would do that. And similarly in Germany, very recently, last year, a fashion retailer, I believe it's Zalando, I could be mistaken by name, but they launched the ability for their customers to make savings through their platform. So they can accumulate savings to then buy some of their products later. Okay. I love that, because it's kind of the antithesis of buy now, pay later, which is that instant gratification and going into debt. This is the reverse of like actually put your money aside and then buy from that retailer.
That's a really interesting play on it.
I like to call it save now, buy later, because that's exactly what it is, right? What we all used to do in the olden days before credit was so cheap. Or prevalent rather than cheap. It's expensive.
Okay, and you mentioned before, look, this is when we talk about tech, it's where a lot of people who watch this get excited about it. And I love the idea of identifying the structural problems that you've found out there in the marketplace. So if you're looking at those structural problems, and as I say, look, I love your lens of it, of coming in as a practitioner, the poacher turned gamekeeper, feeling the pain of the industry, knowing things that can be done better, gaining the experience in fintech, liking the company you've invested in so much, you have to be part of it. It's a beautiful story in terms of how it all comes across, right? And so if we're looking at the industry and saying, look, these are the structural problems we've identified, and you've got I guess this product-based team that look at things through a product-based eye. Talk to us about the tech you're getting involved in, the genuine structural issues which you're looking at, and how WealthOS come into, I guess, to be the knight in shining armour.
Perfect. So actually, this is where WealthOS was so appealing to me, because Anton, the founder of WealthOS, he comes from a product background, and also having been a financial advisor himself, as at the very initial part of his career. So he has been in this industry from like a range of different areas, and literally interacting with these products from ground zero, and he has experienced those pain points, and that's what really attracted me to WealthOS, because I noticed immediately it was just like, wait, so with this we can now do that, and wait, people can do this, and we can reduce the waiting time. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I was like, that's all the things I tried to do that I could never do before. So things as simple as it's my money, I want to take it out.
And you could never do it before because
of the technology behind it.
Okay.
So if you think about it, like if I retire and I wanted to get my money out, takes 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If I want to move from one product to another, whether it's a savings product, investment product, oftentimes retirement product, it can take months. Retirement products typically take like 6 months. You see like really bad press about stuff like this. I know the times have gone down shorter, but it's still weeks, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because I can send money from one bank account to another instantly.
Yeah.
So diving in,
getting faster all the time. Yeah.
Exactly.
In every other part of the world. Yeah.
Exactly. So like drilling into like where are the problems. You see that it comes down to the technology. The technology that's largely used in wealth management is quite outdated. It's not using modern architecture, and most of it's still on premise actually. There's very little cloud technology being embraced in the back end of wealth management. So like going right down to the root of it, you've got some really great innovation happening on the front end of wealth management, where people create these great apps, educational tools, but they're limited in what they can actually do to help take the money and invest it and interact with it in a meaningful way, because the back-end plumbing just isn't there. The infrastructure is very outdated. It's sitting on-premise. It's often siloed. You normally need about 3 or 4 different pieces of software sitting on different premises that all need to interact to create one wealth management product. And so you have this spaghetti junction of different technology to integrate, that every time you try to make a change, you have to go through multiple systems to do that. And so it's sluggish, it's expensive to run, which is why the fees are high, and why they can't cater to lower balances. So it's stifling innovation on multiple fronts. Now, if you instead look at, actually, it's important to look at how do we get to this stage.
Yeah.
Wealth management was at one point the purview of only the super wealthy. If you think about retail investing, right? Like it literally was for people who were wealthy enough to be able to put 10,000, 5,000 aside. Now it's gotten to the point where you can take less, but historically, that's where it started. And so it was never geared for high volumes. It was never geared for, quick and fast transactions. And it was built from the 80s. And all we've done is, as the market has rapidly taken over, we've just kind of gone Band-Aid, 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 and building off the same technology. Just repurposing it. What we've done at WealthOS, and what I really liked with Anton's philosophy, is actually let's look at the products that we're trying to serve, and let's think about all the features and the experiences that our clients are trying to create. Let's build the technology for that.
Yeah.
From the ground up.
Super smart, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you think about it, right, there really isn't that many different ways to take a payment. There isn't that many different ways to help a user make a withdrawal, fund their account, all of the common steps of wealth management. So if you just create a robust portfolio that if you create a robust piece of technology that can be easily configured to cater for those different permutations, then you have a very flexible piece of tech that someone can come in and go, look, I want to offer a niche investing app to my rideshare users, let's say. Then they can use our backend technology and go, look, I want quick contributions, I want this, I want that, on that, and then that's it. Off they go. They don't have to code all that themselves. They can run off a commoditized backend system, which is what WealthOS is. We're the digital operating system for wealth management. And that covers everything from savings, investments to retirement products.
Sounds perfectly easy when you say it, doesn't it? I love the idea of these sort of super complex businesses that have that ability to sort of describe it beautifully easily at the same sort of time, isn't it? And I guess that's the key, to turn complexity into simplicity in this space. And that's sort of, I guess if we look at the journey you guys have been on, and you look at the payment, and I said it was when I was speaking to you the other day, that sort of product-led founding team who've been through that sort of phase. I think the most common trait of successful founders that I've seen over recent years is people who come through the product background, because they're looking at it from a customer face perspective, which I think is again, when you talked about first friends and family investing into these sort of things, you always back the people and what they're, the team that are in position there. So if you think about sort of turning those pain points into a platform now, and you think about the journey that you guys have been on from, it's not an easy time to launch, right? where you guys kicked off, and there's so many companies that did launch in a pandemic that I think actually it probably helped. No one ever thinks about that sort of aspect. The pandemic was an awful time for so many reasons, but I think there's certain phases in the cycle of technological evolution where there's phases where great businesses launched, and I think there's a lot of the big tech businesses launched in a cluster. Lots of different times have led to innovation and solution finding. I think the one of the big bits about the pandemic was it allowed the real cloud adoption, particularly in the financial markets, to accelerate. And I think what's actually happened is during that sort of time, people had to be really robust to survive. And people had to be really mature as businesses with the right funding, the right product, the right idea, and actually solve real problems. So I'm quite excited about businesses that launched during the pandemic. And I think it gives a real sense of promise to how they can go and where they can develop at that sort of phase. So I guess trying to turn that into a question is talk about that journey from sort of pain point to platform to thriving through from adversity.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So as product practitioners, it was very easy to identify the pain points. We've tried to develop digital savings, digital investment, digital retirement products ourselves, and every time it's like the computer says no. Literally, it's the computer says no. Oh, I want to make a withdrawal instantly. No. It's like capability isn't there. I want to go in and stop my contributions. I want to go in and make an ad hoc payment. Computer says no because it hasn't been coded. I want to be able to see my balances in other accounts or other products. Computer says no, because it's a system that's siloed and doesn't have APIs that can't talk to others. So we identified all the problems that we had systemically faced, and we were like, okay, what's the core architecture of this platform? First of all, it has to be in the cloud. We're not going to do on-premise. It's ridiculous. If you have premises today, it's 2024, it's a lot of cost to maintain your own little set of servers, which can be done on bulk in the cloud by a professional.
Absolutely.
You don't have to pay for the infrastructure provisioning, the on-site engineers and all of that. You get to do it with all that cost and just inherit the storage that you need that's fully elastic up in the cloud. So we were like, okay, we're going to be in the cloud. Step one. We're going to be natively in the cloud. We're not going to do what some people do where they develop software and just upload it in the cloud and let it run there. We're going to look at what the benefits of the cloud are, like the elasticity of compute. How can we actually natively build so that we can exploit all the benefits of the cloud, from the ability to just scale up when the demand increases, or scale up when the compute is really difficult, so that we can reduce any wait times. So we built natively in the cloud. Okay, so that's the architectural decisions done. The next bit is we need to be able to be outwardly facing. We need to be able to connect to other software, other products, and other providers. So we need an API. So we're API led. And we have a rich suite of APIs so that you can access anything from our systems. You can connect to our systems, and you can connect our systems to other parties. Wealth management isn't a vacuum. I'm confidently saying this, no single provider can cater for the end-to-end of wealth management. There are specialist providers for payments, like Stripe, TrueLayer. They specialize in payments. There are specialist providers who do KYC, know your customer checks, and anti-money laundering checks. Let them do that, and then connect them to your core technology so that you're accessing the specialisms that you need.
And this comes back to the whole world of interoperability at the moment, and having that,
Exactly.
Which I think is the future of technology. I think those sort of massive enterprise-based systems that sort of try to be a one-stop shop for everyone, and everyone then had to bend their demands to that particular way of doing business, was a broken system.
Yeah, you just can't, for all the time in the world, you'd be spending ages trying to build that system. So build the core components and let it talk to other systems through APIs. So have a rich set of APIs that allow that connectivity. And then the next bit is let everything be automated in your core, so that there's very little human intervention needed. So whether it's setting up an account, whether it's taking money from a user, whether it's managing portfolios, if there are rules behind it and it's a repetitive task, automate it. And then when you've got this ecosystem, like I said, wealth management is not a vacuum. It's an ecosystem of different technologies working together to create a product. you need to then orchestrate between them, so it's an easy experience to work with, right? Otherwise, you're going to end up exactly where you were when you're on premise, where you have your tangled spaghetti junction and you've got other providers to work with. So what we do is everything's in our core platform. We integrate externally with APIs, and then we offer orchestration across everything, the whole system. So if you want to create a user, you create it on us, and then we'll run the checks through to the third party via integrations, bring it back, show you that it's all done. You don't have to worry about coding from us to others. We have created orchestrated workflows. You know, it's a big thing in payments now, actually, where like orchestration is being used to connect different vendors into one ecosystem. So that was a key part of our platform as well: automation and orchestration.
I think that's so interesting you say that, both of those sorts of areas, because I just think it's so relevant to what good, fintech, wealth tech, whichever way you want to badge it. It all ties down to me about a lot of the things you've just been talking about, like making processes friction-free, making processes easy, making it more accessible. And we've talked a lot about open banking. We've talked a bit, bits around all these different areas so far of KYC and AML. There's a whole host of really innovative companies there that are just demystifying effectively, as far as I'm concerned. Because the problem with finance for so many years has been it's been the preserve of the people in the know.
Exactly.
And it's been so exclusive from a load of people. And when I look at all the work that's going in through technology to the underbanked world at the moment, and everything that's happening around the whole payment systems and the transformational opportunity that comes into it. And this, to me, and what you guys are doing, I think is so democratizing in terms of how where things can go. And when we look at I guess just purely the fact of the pressure on people during pensions and retirement and everything else around that, and what was it the other day where we're talking about 71 being the new age of retirement in the not too distant future.
That's right.
This is all about people making better decisions and more responsible decisions earlier, which comes down to education, which actually then comes down to ease, because there's been things there which are just too exclusive for people for a long time, as far as I'm concerned. So to see businesses like yours who are able to come into this and remove friction and democratise a space and create more opportunities in a bigger world, in a space there that's been, the market can just explode in terms of how far and wide it can come. So you must be so excited about all of this.
Oh gosh, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, the market is ripe for disruption right now. Like if wealth managers don't modernize and they don't digitize, then new players will come in. I don't know who the rideshare equivalent is for this market, like it was in Singapore, but somebody will. Like fashion retailers have done it in Germany. So it's really like now's the time to try and get to users who. We've lived through so many events over the last few years alone. People are realizing the need for resiliency. They're more interested in managing their money. They just need the access to these products. So I would say front-end innovation, education is happening. There's actually some great products out there right now helping people learn how to invest. But then the problem is, how do we connect them through to actually then go and do it? And that's where I think our platform comes in. We help people launch digital investing and retirement products 3 times faster and 40% cheaper than today's incumbent technology.
Wow.
And that is because of things like our cloud provisioning, high degree of automation, and also it's all there and composable. You literally sign an agreement with us, get our APIs, and then you start coding, calling all the different microservices to compose the system that you want. We even offer a complete free sandbox of our entire platform. So our entire platform is completely free for anyone to test and play with. They can sign up and create one as easily as creating an email address. Because we're like, come and test it before you buy it. Like it's weird that has never been a thing in our industry.
Yeah.
Can you imagine people? So we're B2B enterprise technology. People had to fork out millions to buy a piece of software that they hadn't fully been able to test out before, or else for us, we're like, it's there, run it, use it, and then have the buy-in discussion. So that's one of the many things that we're very passionate about, is that like you can truly test us out before you buy us.
I want to go off script slightly from what we've spoken about. So sorry to throw this on you with no preparation, but I'm really fascinated again about this sort of journey that you've been on personally, from being outside the industry into fintech, into the startup world. So, and there's so many people who I think are really attracted to the fintech space and are put off because of a lack of knowledge or a lack of ability, or feeling they're not technologists, etc. Within that sort of space, don't know how to get into it, whatever it may be, or a lack of belief or faith and confidence, or whatever it may be. If you were just to put a couple of things there that you've picked up that have sort of helped you, or lessons that you've taken in that transformation that you've had career-wise, What would you say some of those sort of core things have? And as I said, this is something there where you've had zero time to.
And now I'm like piecing together a response now.
So I'm extending the conversation, the question for you to buy yourself a bit of time. But I'm really interested, if you're sort of sat there and you're speaking to yourself a few years ago when you're just making that transition, what would be some of the bits of wisdom that you pass back to yourself?
Okay, I would say, don't be afraid of technology. I think there is a bit of fear of that.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of technology. It's very soon every single business will be a technology-enabled business. If it isn't already, I can go to Borough Market and buy something from a stall, and they let me pay via their mobile. I'm just tapping my card on their mobile. So yeah, we're all digitally enabled.
I saw actually just to cut in on that. I saw Benny Higgins speak once, who was the Tesco Bank guy, and he this is 10 years ago maybe, and he spoke about, at that stage he was saying, look, it's not going to be enough to have a digital strategy, you need a strategy that's digital. And that was a really interesting way of putting it, and it sort of stuck with me all that time.
Yeah, exactly.
It just reminds me of what you just said.
Exactly. It's more about, think about the things that need to be done. Think about the jobs that need to be done, I think is the business school vernacular.
Yeah.
And then think about how technology can help do them better.
Yeah.
So my sort of like guidance to people around this is like, don't be afraid of technology, learn about it. You don't necessarily have to become a coder. I don't write code. I dabbled in HTML a couple of decades ago as a child, but that's about it. That's the only code I know how to write. But don't be afraid that technology looks like one thing. It looks like a person sitting in front of a black screen with words brightly lit up. Code. It's not. There's understand how it works.
Especially in the world of no code these days, isn't it? As well?
Exactly. There's so many no code platforms. In fact, the configuration of our platform is no code / low code.
And where we think AI goes as well, and what that can do ultimately.
AI can code. So it's not necessarily about coding. It's about understanding, what are the principles of technology? What can technology do? Some people are terrified to use AI and generative AI. I say, go all in, understand its limitations, and that's really important as well. All technology has benefits and limitations. Understand them both, because then when you approach your life problems, your business problems, you'll be able to think, this is how I can apply technology in it. And that's how I made that transition as well, because I was looking at, why is it that we can't provide good retirement experiences in our products? Oh, it's because the technology won't allow us to do it. It's as simple as that.
Asking the great questions.
Exactly. Right? And then you go backwards and you go, okay, well, now let's bring the right technology in. And then you can become a technology-enabled business. So my advice is definitely don't be afraid of it and learn. Learn. Always seek to learn. Technology is always changing. So embrace lifelong learning, and don't be afraid to ask those who do know. So a little initiative that I started in a previous company of mine was the one that I first moved to, the first tech company. I knew the financial side of it. I didn't know the tech side of it. So I basically put out on our Slack channel, I was like, look, for any of the devs out there who want to know more about the stuff that you're coding about and the context of the environment it operates in, why don't we have a knowledge exchange where you teach me about the technology and I'll teach you about the finance side of things. And 3 people took me up on that. And so I used to have like these 3.5-hour catch-ups on a periodic basis where I would answer any questions that they had about the domain that we operated in, which back then was retirement plans. So I would explain the setting and they'll be like, oh, I didn't realize that's why we coded it that way, or I didn't realize that's why it's designed. Now I get it. And
that's that convergence of both sides, right?
Exactly.
This is why I'm exactly where I was hoping it would go with what you said there, because I often think that it's like never the twain shall meet. You've got technologists and you've got the business, and actually this sort of sweet spot is where the two of them kind of work and play to each other's strengths. People who've got that business knowledge can actually give you practical stuff about why it needs to happen like this way. And it's so rare. It's bizarrely rare about how often you have that marriage of the two in a business that works well. And obviously when it hits and people are looking at it and they can come together, that's where I think real innovation stems from. So I'm pleased we went down that line as well.
I mean, that was exponential growth for me in terms of understanding technology, because in all those conversations I would impart something and they would impart something back, and those 3 relationships are just so important to me, and then one of them still continued on. Like I've left that company now, and we still meet on a weekly basis, and we just talk tech and business and like how we can help each other bridge that learning. So
amazing. And it seems like something which you've absolutely thrived, flourished, and enjoyed. Easy for me to say, wasn't it? Thrived and flourished and enjoyed as you've been doing it.
I do enjoy it. I've always been a problem solver, whether it was, from an actuarial basis, looking at the numbers, trying to give some sense of
Not
certainty.
often a common link either, those two, is it?
I don't know why people don't see that. Like, actuaries are all about trying to make financial sense of the future.
Yeah, true.
They're trying to put a value on something that's so uncertain, just using maths.
Yeah.
And I've now gone to, okay, let's try and solve different problems, but then just using technology. I've always been interested in like unpicking a problem and getting right down to the root of it.
Love it. So let's finish on WealthOS in the future. Tell us what's exciting for you guys. What can we expect to see across the rest of 2024, and some of the trends you're seeing out there at the moment?
Perfect. Well, we're in the middle of our seed fundraising round, and we've just closed our. We just completed the first closing of that, and we welcomed Barclays to our cap table. Wow. So very thrilled and very honoured to have Barclays back us. And we've got our second closing to come. At the time this airs, it might have already finished. So, but yeah, we are still inviting investors, and we're looking to use that money to funnel our growth going forward. We've built our entire UK platform, so we can now cater for all UK wealth management products, from GIAs, ISAs to SIPs. So the shop is open, and we're out there meeting people and trying to increase our client base.
That's where it gets real.
Yeah, we've also won our first client.
Fantastic.
So we're very thrilled to be welcoming our very first client onto our platform. They bring with them 200,000 accounts across the full wealth management spectrum in the UK. So they're using our entire platform. So that is keeping me busy already. It's keeping all of us busy, but it's a really great partnership that we've struck with them, and we're really looking forward to taking them live in the next few weeks.
Amazing. Well, look, it's a sort of business I love seeing and hearing about, and those the euphoria of those first sales is so exciting, aren't they? And I'm sure there'll be many more to come after that. And actually, as you say, to have Barclays in there and to be at that seed sort of phase, the validation of that is just fantastic. So, what an exciting period for you.
Oh no, absolutely, and I can't wait for the public to see what we can do when it comes to retirement technology. Like, we both come from that background. You've got a qualified actuary, you've got a career product person who's worked in retirement, and we have built something truly amazing that the retirement industry hasn't seen. It's cloud native, digital, end to end, from building savings to withdrawing it, the latest technology. I can't wait for that to come out.
I love the passion. So we'll look forward to seeing that. And look, WealthOS, changing the game, building the future. It's been brilliant having you on the show.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Toby. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. We will see you soon on the next episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.